Hi, this short video tutorial is going to show you how to take an object in Illustrator and basically flip a copy of it and make a new item. So um, basically someone's wanting to make a symmetrical object in this instance and isn't quite sure how to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is turn on my ruler so I can have a middle zone. Um, it's not that big of a deal. You can put it wherever you want. I just need something that will act as the middle. Now you could do this after you have your item too. So I need an actual pen tool, not the add. Okay, so basically, let's just say I have, this could be any kind of shape, okay? And then I, go like this and I have a complete shape. Now, if I want this shape to then have a second side, you can copy it under Edit and Copy or Command C and then paste it. Same thing, either Command V or go to the Edit and Copy and Paste. And then you can go to Object and we're going to transform it and we're going to reflect it. We're going to reflect it over the vertical line since I'm going to want this particular one to flip this way. If you had another object and you were trying to do horizontal, then of course choose that one. You could also do it at an angle. Any way you want. I feel like horizontals and verticals are easier, and then you can simply move your item to an angle if you need to, but that's also a possibility. You can also hit the preview button if you really want to make sure that it's flipped, and then there you have it. Now I'm going to zoom in here because this is going to be where it can get a little bit complicated. Now we all know that you can simply have two items that are next to each other. I'm going to hide my guides for a second. And they'll look like they are together, right? So technically, you could just select the two together, join them as a group, and then and that would be that. But if you really want them a true shape, which would be things like if you wanted to add a gradient through the whole thing or something like that, you'd have to do it. And there are other reasons also for stroking, things like that. So yes, you can definitely join these two shapes together, but the trick here is that your outlines of these shapes, I'm going to make this one a different color just so it's easier to see it, they need to be overlapped. So by that I mean this line here, right now, they're kind of like right on top of each other. One of them needs to invade the space. Now, the tool that I'm going to use to combine these two, well, there's two kinds of tools. You could do Window, open up your Pathfinder, and you can just hit the Unite shape. Sometimes if your shapes are actually on top of each other, they're going to unite correctly. This one didn't quite work. You still see that there's still a dividing line. The other way you can do it is with the Shape Builder tool, but this one sometimes will work a little bit better and it's a little bit easier. Now, if I have a shape that's actually overlapping the shape a little bit more, then the Pathfinder tool should also work with the Unite button. So basically the situation is you need your lines to overlap generally if you want the items to join together easily. Now, even if on this one, if I had just a more slight separation, for example, obviously this is a bigger one so you can see the difference, but if I select these two items at this point, go back to the Shape Builder tool and try to select, we'll see if it'll make it work. It's not, there's that gap there. It just doesn't, it can't unite them because there's no overlap in space. As soon as I'm just a little bit more, all of a sudden then it does read the two together. But they either have to be slightly overlapping or basically their outer line have to be absolutely on each other, dead center. Now, it gets a little bit confusing if you have strokes on here, so I'm just going to show you what this means. If you have a stroke and you're trying to unite something, let me go back a couple steps. The reason that it can get tricky is that it appears when we're doing this that they're overlapped, for example, like in that middle, because the black is overlapping each other, right? But the stroke has nothing to do with the actual shape. What we're concerned about always is that blue line or whatever color layer you're on might just dictate a different color line. But it's that line. Now, if you have your stroke set to a different setting, like if it's on the outside, then that line would be in the right underneath your black. If it's set in the inside, then you can see like that line's going to be on the outside. Typically, the default for a stroke is in the middle. So just keep that in mind if you're doing stroke stuff, that you still need to have an overlap of the actual shape line, not the stroke line. And so, yeah, basically the last, just to review, you can either select both shapes or however many shapes you have, hit the Unite button with the shape, with the Pathfinder, and that will do it if they're properly overlapped. Or sometimes you can get away with a little less overlap if you're using the Shape Builder tool. For that one, you can see that there's a little symbol that pops up. It has the plus key on it, and then you click and you hold and you drag into the next section. Now, just as something for the future, in case you're ever working with this, if you wanted to take a bite out of something, well, I could also just simply hit the Unite button. These are just things for the future. You can minus the front, since that item was in the front since I put it there last. You can also do an intersect where it only takes takes the overlap space. This one excludes it, so basically makes an empty space in there that has no shape. The Shape Builder tool you saw before, you just have to click and hold and drag, right? And it understands the overlap. You see where it did that? It's like, okay, here's a shape, here's another shape because the overlap of space, and then here's another one. But you can also minus things. So you have to, again, make sure all your shapes are selected. But instead of the plus key, if you hit the Option key, you will get the minus. And so, for example, if I wanted to get rid of that shape, or if I wanted to get rid of, well, I suppose this wasn't the best idea, but you can, again, you can do the middle part gone. Let me do something a little bit more complex so it makes a bit more sense. So let's say that I really only want this as a shape. I want a cutout of here. I can actually minus that section so you can get cutouts of your pieces if you wanted to. So anyway, that's a little bit extra, but knowing that the Shape Builder tool can be used to unite things, as well as the Pathfinder tool in the Unite button, pretty amazing stuff can happen really fast. And you can always look at these other ones too. I generally don't use these as much, because if it's something a bit more complicated, I'll simply switch over to the Shape Builder tool. But there you go. I hope that's helpful.